Hi, Titan parents. Welcome to Titan CCECHS Back to School Night. My name is Gina Spencer, and I want to welcome you to the virtual Back to School Night. So again, like I've already said, my name is Gina Spencer. I have a husband and I have two kids. They are both adults. My son is named Daniel, and he is a senior at UC Santa Barbara studying math and statistics, and my daughter is a freshman at UC Santa Cruz, and she is studying philosophy and psychology. Why I love teaching at CCECHS is that I grew up in low-income housing. My mother was a waitress, and I was raised by a single mother, and it wasn't always very easy for us. We didn't have insurance a lot of times. We didn't have money, and times were tough. So I decided when I was 13 that I would go to college and I would get a degree. And I set my mind to that. And even though I did have to work full time and go to school full time and at university, I got my Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and became a manufacturing engineer. So this is my second year teaching at PUC, for PUC at the high school, and it is my third year teaching. Before that, I was an engineer, and I teach algebra. So as I already said, I have a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, and I have a concentration in statistics and linear programming and all this really technical stuff. I did receive my master's in education from the University of Laverne, where I got my teaching credential with a special emphasis in mathematics, and I finished that last year. So I already said I was teaching for 3 years. I worked as an industrial engineer and a manufacturing engineer, primarily in food manufacturing, for 15 years. So I am very familiar with the manufacturing world, and I love learning and knowing how things are made. My interests include hiking, backpacking. I have done a lot of endurance sports like triathlons, really long triathlons like Ironman. And I like to travel and I like sports. And if you ask your children that are in my class, what's Mrs. Spencer doing tonight? More than likely, I'm watching some sporting event while I'm putting in grades or lesson planning. I'm watching the Dodgers or the Rams or the Chargers. And that's I do like to watch sports as well as play sports. I have lots of sports analogies for my students, like, you can't learn how to shoot a free throw or score a goal by watching me. You have to practice yourself. So write it down and practice. And I think that all of us know as parents that that's how it works. You're not going to learn by watching others. You learn by doing. And so I'm constantly telling them, don't watch me, take notes, practice, try it yourself, make mistakes, and learn from your mistakes. So I try and emphasize learning from mistakes. My hobbies include drought-tolerant gardening, and I do like to read a lot. A meaningful quote is that mathematics is, in its way, the poetry of logical ideas. And I got that from Albert Einstein, although I had a really good quote from Snoop Dogg and some other ones. So if you want to look up some of those, then you can, because even Snoop Dogg says, basic math means basic pay, or something like that, because I don't know if you know this, but Snoop Dogg is really good at math, and he had multiple calculus classes when he was in high school. So the main thing that I hope that my students will learn this year is to analyze and interpret data and to problem solve. Because one of the main skills that Fortune 500 companies are looking for is the ability, after communication, number one, communication, is two, problem solvers. So I'm looking for them to problem solve, and sometimes you have to be very persistent about problem solving. That means maybe you get it wrong the first time, maybe you get it wrong the second time. That doesn't mean that you might not get it right the third or the fourth time. And sometimes problem solving takes time and it takes persistence. I hope that they understand the relationship between different types of mathematical models. And so we'll be talking about that. Sometimes I talk to them about the COVID or the coronavirus and how that is an exponential function. And a lot of, you hear it on the news all the time now that they talk about exponential function because they're talking about COVID. And that is a mathematical model. Whenever we're graphing, lots of graphs on TV now with the news. Lots of graphs about, like, especially the COVID, or if you're looking at even maps of fires, what percent are they contained? So all of these things, all these, there are numbers all around us, there's math all around us, and I want them to see that, you know, time is a form of math, and distance is a form of math, and all of these different things that involve numbers are parts of math. So content learned linear and exponential functions, analyzing and solving various functions like I already mentioned. So we're starting our first unit because we were doing a unit 0, which was a review unit. We've just started doing data exploration, and this is all about graphing and interpreting graphs. And I've asked them to, and if you haven't heard about this, they were supposed to measure their foot and they were supposed to measure their height, and we're going to graph each period, each class's height versus their foot length. And I told them, ask your parents, talk to your people, get them to help you. So we're graphing all kinds of things. We've graphed how many pets do you have? So each class has graphed how many pets that they have. Do you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or more? Also, we looked at rolling a die. So we rolled a die and we graphed a die. So ask them about rolling a die and how you might graph that. So I encourage all of you to ask your children as much as you possibly can, like, hey, what'd you guys do in math today? And get them talking about what they're doing in math. And as well as looking in PowerSchool to see that they're completing their assignments. So these are the different units, and you can read through them. What they need, I really like to see that they have a notebook or a folder to keep organized. I like that if they have graph paper, that's super fantastic, because we are doing a lot of graphs. It makes graphing a little bit easier. Certainly lined paper to take notes. For example, today they had to look up vocabulary words related to graphing, and I told them they have to take notes, write down the definition because it doesn't go magically into their head. And then once they write that down, they have to take a picture of their work and submit it to the assignment. We do this a lot. Take a picture of your work and submit it to the assignment. Have them show you how they have to do that, because this is virtual learning. If at all possible, I encourage them to have a scientific calculator. You can get one at the dollar store for $1. And the reason why, if at all possible, that they can have, and I showed them mine is solar powered, it's a Texas Instrument, is that they have multiple years of math left in them. And if they have the same calculator, they're practicing on that calculator and they can get more comfortable and faster on that calculator. And that's really important when it comes to like taking tests or quizzes, is if they're comfortable, you know, with their device, they're going to do better. If at all possible, I really like it when they have highlighters and colored pencils, especially when we're graphing. We can like put that information, you know, have different colors on a graph to emphasize those, so that if at all possible, it would be nice. Certainly they need a functional laptop with a camera and microphone and access via Wi-Fi. And we are using lots of online tools like iReady, Khan Academy. Kendall Hunt is our new textbook, and Schoology, Google Resources, and they also can access the Desmos calculator. So lots of different things that are available to them. Student expectations, I like to see their cameras on, because then I can see their face and see if they're understanding a little bit easier than if their cameras are off. So the more they can have their cameras on, the better. The easier for them too, because then I can see and I can help maybe them a little more. I do expect them to arrive to class on time and prepared to work. That means having a pencil and paper, maybe a ruler. If I say ruler, ruler because they have to measure their foot and do their height. And they need to practice good virtual learning etiquette. That means being kind to others, participating in the polls, asking for help, um, acting appropriately in the chat, and things like that, turning in assignments on time. Ask questions, make mistakes, don't be afraid to make mistakes and to learn and to grow. Studies show that students that make mistakes are much more likely to have increased brain development. So brain development comes from making mistakes, and I make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but we can make mistakes, learn from them, and do even more challenging things that way. And last but not least, I do expect them to come to office hours. My office hours are Tuesday and Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30. So if you are asking your child, let's look in your PowerSchool account. You don't even have to know how to go into PowerSchool. They know how to go into PowerSchool. Let's look at your PowerSchool account. Let's see how you're doing on your assignments. I always put all of the assignments that are missing or incomplete as missing or incomplete. So it's very easy for anybody to see what's missing for those assignments. And if they're not coming to office hours for help, my question would be, what are they doing to get the help that they need? So it's really like, what steps are you taking to get the help that you need? Here's the grading policy, 20% participation, which is an increase and really important that they're in class, participating in the polls and in the chat and taking good notes. Process is things like, let me see your notes. What did you have? How did you do? Projects, we're getting ready to do a project for module 1, which will be related to graphs. So projects are 25%, really important. Formative assessments or quizzes and smaller tests, and whereas exams cover larger chunks, 2 exams per semester. Now, I want to talk about processes just for a second because we're working on math intervention on Fridays, and a lot of students aren't doing their math intervention. They could do it on Wednesday, or they could do it on Wednesday night or Thursday night and be done. But if they're not doing their math intervention, then their process scores are going to go way down. It's important that they show up. Like missing school. Why aren't they doing the work? So please look for their math intervention scores and make sure that they are showing up and doing their math intervention. Here is my email address. Please email me if you have any questions or concerns. Office hours, as I already mentioned, class announcements are in Schoology and they are in Remind. And here are all the different portals. So we have Instagram, if you want to follow us on Instagram. We have a website, we have PowerSchool. So please, here's the link to PowerSchool. But even so, your student, your child has already been in PowerSchool and they can show you their grades. So have them show you. That way you can ask them. And that is all. So thank you for coming or watching this. And I really am looking forward to working with my students because I want what's best for them, which means I want them to learn and to grow and to be successful. And I think that we all want the same thing in that way. I am here for them. I tell them that, but they have to come and get the help that they need. So that's it. Hope you have a very pleasant evening. And